You ever see those cryptic lines of code in a terminal? The ones that seem to magically make things happen? Well, that's Bash scripting. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and turn it into your own personal secret weapon. Let's jump in and get you started on the path from beginner to, automation wizard.
And listen, this quote from a senior engineer, it's not just some nice saying. It's a preview of what's possible. We're not just learning a bit of code here. We are talking about literally reclaiming huge chunks of your day. Seriously, imagine getting a half-day's worth of tedious work done before you even finish your first coffee. That's the kind of power we're talking about.
So, here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about a problem I know we all have, the manual task trap. Then, we'll introduce you to the secret weapon that'll get you out of it. We'll go from typing single commands to bundling them into a script, then we'll make that script even smarter, and finally, we'll see just how powerful this whole automation thing really is.
Okay, so let's talk about something we all know and hate, those mind-numbing, repetitive tasks. The ones that just drain your soul a little bit every day. They're boring, they're slow, and honestly, they're holding you back. Let's look at a perfect, real-world example of this that I'm sure will feel very familiar to some of you.
So, picture this. We've got a DevOps engineer. And every single morning, their job involves digging through piles of server logs, hunting for any signs of trouble. It's the same monotonous cycle. Type a command, wait. Type another command, wait. Not only is it incredibly tedious, but it's super easy to make a mistake. And this whole process eats up almost an hour of their time, every single day.
Now you might be thinking, well, can't I just use my mouse and click around? And sure, you can. But just look at this comparison. If you need to create, say, 100 folders using a graphical interface, that's 100 clicks. Your hand would hurt. But with the command line interface, the CLI, it's one single command. That's it. For anything repetitive, the CLI is just on a completely different level.
All right, so the command line, that's our escape hatch. But to really use it, we need to understand the tools of the trade. So let's break down the key components that are going to become our best friends in this fight against manual work.
So first things first, what even is a shell? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a translator. You type in commands, your instructions, and the shell is the program that takes those instructions and translates them into a language the computer's operating system can actually understand and execute. It's the essential middleman.
Okay, so if shell is the general idea, like web browser, then Bash is a specific brand of shell. Just like Chrome, Firefox, and Safari are all web browsers, Bash is the most popular and powerful shell out there, especially on Linux systems. It's the one we're going to be working with. All right, now this is where the real magic happens. We're about to take all those individual commands that our engineer was typing out one by one, and we're going to bundle them all together into a single powerful script. Think of it like a magic spell you can cast anytime you want. And look, making a script sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just 3 easy steps. 1, you just write your commands in a plain text file in the order you want them to run. 2, you add this funny-looking line at the very top. It's called a shebang, and it just tells the computer, hey, use Bash to run this stuff. And 3, you give the file permission to be run as a program. That's it. You've made a script. And voila, here's our very first script. We'll call it analyze_logs.sh. And inside this text file are the exact same find and grep commands our engineer was using. Find to locate the files, and grep to search for specific words like error inside them. It's just a simple list of instructions saved in a file. Okay, but there's a small problem. When we run this thing, the output is, well, it's a total mess. Just a wall of text. It's really hard to read. But we can fix that easily with a command called echo. We can use echo to print out nice titles, some blank lines for spacing, anything to make the final report clean and easy for a human to actually understand. So, our script works, which is great, but it's kind of dumb, right? It's rigid. It does the exact same thing every single time. Now it's time to give this thing a brain. We're about to level up and turn this simple checklist into a truly intelligent tool. First thing we got to do is introduce variables. Just look at the before here. That long file path is typed out over and over again. If that path ever changes, say we move the logs to a different server, we'd have to find and replace it everywhere. What a pain. Now look at the after. We define it just once, at the top, in a variable. Now if it changes, we only have to edit one single line. This is what makes our script flexible. Okay, next problem. What if we're looking for more than just the word error?
What if we also need to find fatal or critical? Well, instead of adding more and more lines of code, we can just put all those words into a simple list. In scripting, that's called an array. And that brings up a really important question, right? I mean, this is great for 1 or 2 files, but what if you have 100? Are we really going to copy and paste that code 100 times? No way. There has to be a smarter, more elegant way to handle that.
And of course, there's a better way. The solution is something called a for loop. And let me tell you, this is a total game changer. A loop basically lets us tell the script, hey, for every single file you find in this folder, I want you to run these commands on it. Now our script is smart enough to find all the logs by itself and process every single one, whether there's 1 file or 1,000. This table really just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? Our script has evolved. We went from being rigid and inflexible to flexible by using variables. We went from repetitive and unscalable to totally scalable with loops. And now we're going to make one last change to go from just dumping data to actually being intelligent. And now for the final touch, the cherry on top. We're going to give it some real intelligence with a conditional or an if statement. This lets our script make decisions. We can actually tell it, hey, if the total number of errors you find is greater than 10, then print a big warning message. See? Now it doesn't just give us data, it analyzes it and alerts us only when we really need to pay attention.
And that's it. We did it. We've built a smart, flexible, automated script. Let's just step back and really appreciate what we've accomplished here, because this is the moment where all that effort pays off in a huge way. I mean, look at these numbers. This says everything you need to know. A job that took up to 45 minutes of boring manual clicking and typing now happens in less than 1 second. That's not just a small improvement. That is a fundamental change in how work gets done. This is the real power of automation. And you know, this whole log analysis thing, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Start thinking bigger. What else could you do? You could write a script that sets up a brand new computer for a developer in minutes instead of hours, or one that automatically cleans up old files every night, or one that backs up your critical databases without you ever having to think about it. The possibilities are truly endless.
So I'll leave you with this final and honestly most important question. As you go through your own work week, think about those little repetitive things you have to do over and over. Now that you have this secret weapon, now that you know how it's done, what tedious task will you automate first?